Simple squamous is the first official tissue that we're going to look at for epithelial. As its name suggests, because it has two names, the cells are egg-shaped, squamous, and there is only one layer of these cells. Simple, right? So this takes a different approach to looking at your fried egg. I'm no longer looking at your fried egg from top down. I am now looking at your fried egg from the side, as if you cut your sandwich and looked at it from the side. This picture on the left that I circle is how you would see your squamous cell cut and looked at from the side. In the lungs, these squamous cells line little open cavities called alveoli. And it's these alveoli or open spaces that all form the lumina that the simple squamous cells line. On a microscopic slide, this just looks like a bunch of pink wavy lines. But each lumen is an open space with cells that are not stacked, but just ever so slightly overlapped at the edges, just ever so slightly. This tissue, simple squamous, is also found lining the open chambers of your heart and lining all of your blood vessels. They're very flat cells and they give very little resistance to blood flow. Oh, and I apologize. I have a picture of grapes here because if you think of the shape of hollowed out grapes, that is kind of how your lungs are. There are a whole bunch of spherical alveoli that are hollowed out and have open spaces. So, a good server at a restaurant will take a bunch of straws and put them in their apron so that if a customer asks, "Can I have a straw?" you have one ready. And that's especially important if the person wanting the straw is a child. You need to get that straw now. So let's think of a bunch of straws, kind of like the background to the slide. Think of them as you're holding them together and you're looking top down at them, as in this picture. This is the same arrangement of cuboidal cells in your kidney. Your kidney, in parts of it, most of it, it's just a collection of straws. And the lumina, which is the plural word for lumen, are all of these open spaces here. There's not one lumen, there are many lumina. Surrounding all of these open spaces is a layer of cuboidal cells with their nuclei smack dab in the center. The reality, though, is that in the process of making a microscope, sometimes these tubes, they don't hold their shape. They get smushed in the process of making the slide. And that's why some of them look oval in shape. Remember, I'm drawing the individual cells to show you that cube shape here, or highlighting it. But you have to remember that cuboidal cells, right, they're going to have their nucleus in the middle of the cell, and that's like their telltale picture. This picture on the left represents a straw or a tube if I were to cut it long ways. And so this big open space here is the lumen of one straw, one open space. Students can get simple columnar and simple cuboidal mixed up because sometimes, like I said, they get flattened in the process of making the slide. A cube and a column look very different, yeah, but sometimes they don't when things get smushed. But what you have to remember is that a cuboidal cell will have its nucleus in the center, whereas a columnar cell will always have their nuclei closer to that basal surface, not the surface that lines the open space, right? Not the apical, but the basal surface. These pictures here are from the digestive system, which is lined mostly with simple columnar from stomach to rectum. And you can see all of these cells lined up here, and I'm highlighting a line of their nuclei down at the basal surface. And so that means when I'm highlighting in green here, this area here would all be the lumen. The apical surface of these cells is against the lumen, and the basal surfaces are below it. And let me highlight the basal surface for you. Here's one basal surface, and here's a number, no, another. So, sometimes in one picture, we might be looking at two lines of simple cells. In the digestive system and in many mucous membranes, remember, mucous membranes are open to the outside, there are cells that are called mucus cells. They used to be called goblet cells. I like their name mucus cells because that's what they make, mucus. Mucus doesn't like to take up a stain as much as some of the other things like cell membranes and nuclei. So mucus cells, they look like these scattered blobs in among the simple columnar cells.